A flash sale or end-of-season discount is likely to turn many heads and perhaps wipe out a store's entire clothing rack. A quick bargain may provide a temporary boost to our endorphins, but often we may not realize the true price of all these catchy deals. Fashion brands rarely pay the price for the deals offered or take a cut for unsold inventory. Then how do firms manage to offer such great deals without hampering their bottom line? The answer lies in their supply chain. It consists of countless underpaid workers, mostly working in sweatshops in Asia, creating what's popularly known as fast fashion. Fast fashion is a term used to describe the exploitative practice of replicating catwalk trends and mass-producing them at a lower cost. Fast fashion is central to the entire fashion industry. This includes your favorite brands like H&M, Zara, Uniqlo, Marks & Spencer, and the current Gen Z favorite, Shein. Forced or underpaid labor is not a new phenomenon in this industry, but a recent development has brought the conversation to the forefront again. According to a report, investors at Inditex are asking the company to make its full list of suppliers public. Inditex is the Spanish fashion house that owns the brand Zara. This comes as global fashion brands have been facing mounting pressure to prove that there is no forced labor in their supply chain. Retailers like H&M, Nike, Primark and Puma already published their suppliers list in the public domain. However, Inditex is an outlier in this regard. Every year, the firm publishes the number of suppliers it sources from in 12 core countries, but it does not give details on individual factories. According to published figures, between 2019 and 2022, Zara cut suppliers in China and increased them in Bangladesh and Morocco. But despite that, most of its suppliers were still from China. Now, the investors' demands come amid rising concerns over the brand's involvement in labor abuse. This is especially in Asian countries like Bangladesh, Vietnam, and China, where cheap labor is easily available. Of these, the most concerning is the abuse of labor of the Uyghur Muslims in China's Xinjiang region. Xinjiang is a region in northwest China. This is where most of the country's ethnic Uyghur minority lives. It accounts for more than 80% of China's cotton. It's also a region where there are widespread reports of human rights abuses.
It's well known today that the Uyghur community, or most of the Uyghur community, is forced to come to work for these state-governed factories. And these are people working under very harsh conditions. Also, some of them, they see their passport withdrawn also. They are forced to work. They cannot go back to their village. So it's very harsh condition, and what we want to expose is there any of these multinational companies, European companies, French companies, profiting from such harsh condition of the Uyghur community?
According to a report published in December last year, dozens of well-known brands source materials made by Uyghurs, who are compelled to participate in the labor programs. The researchers investigated 4 leading Chinese apparel companies that have significant ties to Xinjiang. These companies have reportedly supplied brands like Zara and Primark. Underpaid labor is not just China's issue. In November last year, violent protests erupted in Bangladesh after thousands of garment workers took to the streets. This was over a pay hike. These are workers who were earning a meager wage of $75 a month. They were demanding about $200 monthly. However, the government had only agreed to pay $113. And this was the first pay hike they'd been offered in 5 years. This eventually led to the deadly strike, where at least 3 factory workers had died.
We all know how it works, but they are scared to pay us according to the new wage scale. That's why they kicked us out and are not recruiting us back anymore.
This further put into the limelight the dire working conditions of laborers who work for these big brands. But do these firms face any repercussions as a result of such controversies? Let's find out. despite the recent push to publish its list of suppliers, Inditex hardly faces any resistance from investors. None of these investors are considering divesting their stake from the company, which means it faces no legitimate threat even if it ignores publishing the list. In fact, sales for the Zara owner have only been getting better. Between February and March this year, the firm's sales jumped 11%. This further proves that it doesn't face any threat from its consumers either. When Inditex published its results earlier this month, its share prices hit an all-time high. As for Zara's close competitor, H&M, the firm's CEO resigned in January. But that had nothing to do with H&M's labor practices. The resignation came due to the brand's lagging performance amid increasing competition. The company that faces the worst backlash is perhaps the TikTok favorite Shein. The company is looking to go public via an initial public offering in the US. When it was planning to list itself in New York, Shein was expecting to cruise through the process comfortably, but its expectations have been marred by regulatory red tape. Founded in 2012, the Chinese fashion behemoth shifted its headquarters to Singapore years ago. However, it still manufactures most of its merchandise in China. And now Shein faces allegations that Uyghur forced labor is used to make its ultra-cheap apparel. Critics have raised alarms over Shein's potential use of contract manufacturers in China's Xinjiang region, and this has become its biggest hurdle towards the IPO plan. Chinese authorities, however, have denied the allegations. They have rejected the existence of poor labor conditions in the Xinjiang region. Recently, during a session of the 14th National People's Congress, officials dismissed the allegations of forced labor in the region. They blamed the US for spreading misinformation.
The US sanctions on Xinjiang cotton are essentially an attempt to use forced labor as a pretext to create forced unemployment and poverty in Xinjiang, undermining prosperity, stability, and development in Xinjiang and curbing China's development. People of all ethnic backgrounds in Xinjiang will never agree to this, and the US scheme will never succeed. Let us collectively debunk these lies and rumors by sharing our first-hand experiences and knowledge of the real Xinjiang.
While forced labor and worker abuse have certainly become a political issue, one thing is pretty clear: businesses remain unaffected in the larger realm. It only helps them to reduce their supply chain costs and clock in better revenue. And this further helps them deliver profits quarter after quarter. And no matter the countless reports released or sanctions placed, a paradigm shift is still a far cry.